Well, it is kind of funny because as a classical oil painter, I recently found out that I'm being financially humiliated by a 15-year-old kid. My partner tells me one day over breakfast that Mark and David's son in Rome got 3 art commissions in a single week. My old-fashioned Baroque brain goes straight to, wow, an altar piece for Vatican. Turns out those art commissions are just cartoons on an iPad for fake internet money. Yes, it might sound very strange, but I do have friends. And Mark and David, they're British and they live in Rome and they have a kid. He's 15. And that's what I heard over breakfast, that this 15-year-old kid got 3 art commissions in a single week. And being a classical oil painter, all I heard was commissions. And I instantly thought, okay, who was it? Vatican? What church? What church would commission a 15-year-old to paint an altar piece or any sacred art piece for that matter? I mean, they're very progressive. Vatican is very progressive nowadays. Look who painted Pope's portrait this year. And it's 2026 if you're watching from the future. It's one of the most brilliant artists and one of the most provocative artists today. His name is Roberto Ferri. But that kid is not Roberto Ferri. I know that for sure. So it turns out that kid is just sitting in his bedroom playing with his computer or an iPad and he's drawing something on a screen and he sells those doodles for fake money, for fake internet points on Discord server. Do you know what Discord server is? I didn't know. I'm not kidding. I had to look it up. So Discord, as far as I understand, is this invisible internet group where very young people are exchanging ideas and they buy doodles, those Japanese cartoons, with fake internet money. At that moment, I kind of realized that as artists, we use the exact same words when we talk about something online, but we actually have very different dictionaries. It can get really confusing, ridiculously confusing, especially on Reddit when I read all those posts and comments. And when a young digital artist says they got a commission, most of the time they mean that somebody's paying them $3 or $5 on PayPal. And when I hear the word commission, my brain of a classical oil painter instantly, historically goes straight to this huge altar piece or a royal portrait. When I hear the word commission, I think of Medici family. I have to paint their portrait. I have to paint the portrait of King Willem Alexander and Queen Maxima, the Dutch royal family. Well, I'm exaggerating, of course, but you get my point. But when they say they got a commission, they mean they have to doodle something and make those simple Japanese characters or a profile picture for, I don't know what social media they're using. And I'm reading all those posts and comments and I'm actually responding to them when I feel that people don't understand me. And I'm the idiot here, obviously. And it's not just about the commissions. The word traditional artist itself has a totally different meaning. When they say a traditional artist, they mean using a pencil or fluid acrylics or normal watercolors and doing something on paper, doodling physically. When I hear traditional artist, I would think about, I don't know, grinding tempera pigments or layering gold leaf or, using rabbit skin glue. That's the tradition to me. To them, traditional is doing something on paper. And to me, traditional is being a monk in a cave and living in the 15th century and using all those traditional techniques. That's a tradition to me. So do not jump to any conclusion when you read something online, because we do use the same words, but those words, they have totally different meaning. And actually, I was going to tell you something very funny from my own experience. So a while ago, I was starting reading those Reddit forums, and I was actually enjoying it very much, and because the questions are good and I can answer them, and I actually did answer some of the questions. And there was one person who was asking, how can I speed up or reverse a painting layer? I'm like, wow, such a good question. And I wrote a comment. Actually, I responded. I said, glazing is a beautiful process. It's an amazing technique, but you cannot speed it up or reverse it. Oh God, no. What's done is done. And if you put a mistaken layer, a wrong layer, you have to wait for 4 days till it's dry. Then you can paint something over it. Never in my entire life was I so mocked, humiliated, and blocked by other artists because they thought I'm trolling them, because they thought I'm some kind of internet bully telling them to turn off their computers or iPads for 4 days. And yeah, they were talking about the Photoshop layers, and I was talking about actual physical gravity and chemistry on canvas. So after that, I made a list of those hilarious, ridiculous misunderstandings just to show you how deep that rabbit hole goes. First, what do we mean when we say, I just finished a painting? To a digital artist, it means, okay, they're done drawing or painting in their computer or on their iPads, and they hit the upload button and okay, done. To us, when we say, I just finished a painting, it means that this painting now has to sit in a very dark corner for 6 months, and then we get back to it asking ourselves, can I varnish it now or is it too soon? And what is fast painting? Fast painting to a digital artist is, I don't know, spending 6 hours maximum, very intense work. And to me, to a classical painter, fast painting means, I don't know, alla prima maybe, or just the imprimatura background. And this imprimatura background has to sit there overnight or for 2 days, maybe for a week till I get back to it and start painting over it. What is a big painting? A big painting to an online artist is something 5,000 pixels wide. And to me, big painting is asking myself, okay, can two grown-up men carry this painting upstairs without falling down with it and ruining everything? You know, and the palette. The palette for a digital artist, what is it? They just click the glass screen and, you know, they have their perfect color. Basta. And for me, it means squeezing paint out of my tubes and having paint all over my workplace and smelling like a chemical factory and ruining my favorite shirt, by the way. That's my palette. I give you another beautiful one, the reference. What is a reference or finding a reference for digital artists? They just, you know, scroll through Pinterest or not even Instagram. Instagram is for old people now. No, Facebook, oh, forget it. So they just scroll online and they just find something, what they like, they pick it and they draw or paint from it. That's it. To me, finding a reference image or finding the reference means maybe going to a museum and looking at all those great masters, the originals, you know, or having a photo shoot with a model and then painting and drawing from those photos that I took. Or even worse, working with a live model and then begging that live model to please sit still for 5 more minutes till I'm finished. And then I sketch from those photos. Or I just start painting with my brush. The brush. This is just amazing. A digital artist says, I just found this amazing, perfect brush. And you think, what brush are they talking about? Sable? No. Hog? No. Squirrel? No. Ox. Of course it's ox because it's my favorite too. No? Oh, Photoshop. What? And yes, of course, my absolute favorite one, the layers. A digital artist says, well, I used 30 layers. I'm like, wow, so do I. Imprimatura, underpainting, glazing, 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 varnish. They look at me and they say, what? No, Photoshop. Oh, okay. I guess we're talking about different layers. And of course, the copying question. I feel so stupid now after I made that video on copying where I literally encouraged everyone to copy more from more artists. That's how we learn. But the young digital artists, they actually ask themselves, is it moral to copy other artists or will I be canceled for doing so? I'm like, why are they so stressed about this? Copying is actually so old school, and all artists in all art schools we learn by copying from other artists. That's just standard education to me, but to them it's a moral issue. And of course, how can I undo the layer or whatever? They mean the Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z. What I mean when I say undo, I have to grab my palette knife and I have to scrape off that paint and, you know, and I will be scraping it off and asking myself, why am I doing this? And why am I here? Is anybody out there? You know, and the funniest part is that this problem of misunderstandings and different meaning of our vocabulary is actually not new. The old masters, they had the same problem. In Renaissance, there were these huge public fights called the paragone, which from Italian translates as comparison, but it's also known as the great art rivalry. And it was really huge, decades-long argument between painters and sculptors over who is the true artist. And since they did not have an internet or forums, and they wrote letters, physical letters to each other, or they just insulted each other in the streets. One of the greatest painters ever said that painting is this elite, elegant work where a painter sits wearing beautiful clothes and listening to beautiful music and creates those beautiful masterpieces. And sculptors are just dirty construction workers covered with white dust. This painter, this great master, was Leonardo da Vinci. And the man created a helicopter and he had time to argue whose medium is better. And I think he was speaking in a code. I believe he was saying that a painter has total control and confidence, and that painting brings a painter wealth and recognition, the status, and that painting requires high level of intellect. So basically he was saying that painting is a job for the mind and sculpting is just dirty construction work, a job for the hammer. You know, Michelangelo, that sculptor covered with that marble white dust, wrote back to him. He absolutely hated Da Vinci for this. He wrote back to him saying that Leonardo da Vinci's arguments are so stupid and that Michelangelo's maid could write a better essay. But did you know that back then, painters called sculptors brainless rock cutters, finitori di sassi, and sculptors called painters flat surface tricksters, ignano dell'occhio. Wow. But listen, how can you compare Mona Lisa and David? Well, I am in a painter's camp, but I still would prefer David. I guess what I want to say with all this is that artists always spoke different languages. There were sculptures and paintings who did not understand each other at all, and today we have digital artists and classical oil painters, and honestly, I do not mind being a dinosaur of art, somebody has to, but if the royal family calls me, and I will still be waiting for that commission, if they call me and place a commission, I hope that commission is not just a user pick they want, And I'm not judging those kids who create cartoons or Japanese anime characters and doodles and sell them, who am I to judge? If they're making a living out of it, beautiful. But tell me, I like talking and I talk too much, but I always like hearing the feedback, and I want to hear your voice. Let me know in a comment. Have you ever experienced something like this? Did you come across those misunderstandings, and how did you handle this? I was blocked on that forum where I recommended to wait for 4 days till the layer is dry. And yes, I know those young digital artists, they probably look at us and think, ancient worshippers of gold frames, and we look at them and we think they're school dropouts playing video games and doing nothing literally. But hey, aren't we all trying to do the same thing? Aren't we all trying to capture the human feeling? My name is Dimitri Ross and I'm a figurative artist in Amsterdam, and I hope to see you in the next one. And I'm still the classical oil painter.